All right, so I know you're very excited to get started, but we need to do some machine setting up here. It's very important. So since you are on a Mac, I'm assuming you're on a Mac, that's why you're watching this video, you need to install VS Code, which is the editor we're going to use in this course to create Flutter web apps. And also potentially, if you need to, you will have to install Xcode as well as Android Studio. Android Studio and Xcode are two IDEs that are optional in this course. You would need those two if you wanted to obviously create Android and iOS applications. The process of setting up a machine can be a little bit cumbersome. That's the reason why I went ahead and created a full-fledged, a complete PDF file with all the instructions you will need to set up your machine so you can start writing Flutter apps, web apps, and so forth. Okay? So instead of me going through the process, I figured I would put together a PDF that you can download and follow thoroughly. Here's how the setup document looks like. So this is the document you should have access to. This is what you're going to be using to follow along so you can install and set up VS Code onto your machine, onto your Mac. That way you can start building web apps. Now there's a lot of other things that you may or may not need to install. For instance, Android Studio and Xcode, they are going to be optional because you only need those if you want to create iOS apps and Android apps. But you will have to go and get Visual Studio Code. So there is all the information about what Visual Studio is and how to install and all of that. Just follow all of these instructions that I detailed and everything should be good. And I also have the system requirements you need in order to have a successful installation process for you. I also include this setup the path variable. That way you can use Flutter without having to always put the path on your terminal and so forth. Okay, so there's a lot of information here that I will encourage you to go through so you can install Flutter and VS Code. And of course, I've added the troubleshooting installation issues so that in cases you have some issues, you can come up here and see if you have the solution there. Okay, so it's a very thorough document. Go ahead and pause this course and start installing Flutter and VS Code onto your machine. Next time I see you, we're going to be coding some awesome web apps.